Takže nazdar YouTube, keby náhodou. Máme tu pekne krásne ďalšiu epizódu od Kepovho talku poriadného, ktorý má väčšinou s Quinom, s Insaniom plus jedným hosťom. Tentokrát je to kdo iný ako Mr. Seb sám. Seb!
To another episode of... Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of All Chat. This time around, we've got Seb, who's going to be joining us. Thank you, Seb, for taking the time to come on to our little podcast.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you guys all just came back from Dream League. In fact, Quinn, you and Seb almost like tied.
Ten face Insan1a, že všetci si akorát prišli z Dream League, to tie likvidi, ktorí vypadli v tom group stage. Insan1a úplne. Došli sme z toho Dream League, boli sme tam pozvaní, Quinn takisto úplne,
out in position, so I guess...
Všetci úplne, stretli sme sa tu, hráme tam tier 1 dotu, ale čo si budeme... Falconi tam sú teraz niekde trochu vyššie.
The first thing is, how'd you guys feel Dream League went?
I mean, for us, it was just a gigantic emotional roller coaster. I think this year, I mean, we just had a really privileged experience last year in terms of how it went. My Dota career has just been a roller coaster recently. I went from like never get more than 12th ever to like we won everything, and then now we're kind of like sucking a little bit. And so I've never been in this position before where I was owning and now we're sucking. And so we're just kind of trying to figure.
Jo, to je ale úplně presne tá záležitosť, čo presne ako Quinn hovorí teraz, ne, že tam presne on nebol nikdy ani v tej situácii a nikto z nás samozrejme úplne nikdy nebol v tej situácii, že proste ovníš a celú tú minulú sezónu proste ničili jeden turnaj za druhým, proste gladiátory. Ale ono to proste zrazu tam niekto hrá proste do píči lepšie a ty nevieš, čo úplne máš, čo sme zmenili do píči za tú dobu, prečo už neničíme ďalej, jo?
Figure that out and how to stop sucking right now.
Is it worse because it's kind of like this precipitous fall where you guys, like before when you were kind of sucking and then you got worse, it was like, okay, kind of whatever, but when you become the best and then you suck, is it like worse in that regard to go down?
I think maybe it is if you've been winning for a long time, but we weren't winning for that long. We just won like a lot in a short period. So I don't think I reached the stage of like entitlement where I'd like deserve to win or something. I was just sort of like, it was nice to win and now we're not. I forgot what it feels like. That's sad.
And Seb, maybe this is from an outsider's perspective, but how did you feel? Because from my
to ma zaujíma, čo k tomu povie Mr. Sebastian.
perspective, I guess expectations-wise, I feel like you guys met expectations or maybe surpassed it, being like a newer team on the rise.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think we did better. Like we just played better Dota. Just regardless of the result, we played better Dota than we did the weeks leading to that, and maybe the months leading to that. So in that sense, it was successful for us. I think we didn't have enough time with Timado to kind of build, and it was kind of rushed for us. So we just had to improve along the way and adapt to the better teams, because I think a lot of teams in that tournament were objectively better than us. But we put up a pretty good fight, and we're on the way to hopefully catch up with the best and challenge them on a more stable basis. So as far as it went for us, it was good.
Tejto vety to zatiaľ znelo, ako keby si tam čete celý OG nechať tomáta. Máte z toho zatiaľ podobný pocit?
It was good.
Aiden, do you want to talk about your Dream League?
I mean, we didn't attend Dream League, unfortunately, so I can't share in these guys' experience. No, but I mean, Dream League was pretty bad for us, as Dream Leagues have been recently. I think the last 3 Dream Leagues, we've won a grand total of 5 games. So I don't know what happens in Dream League specifically, or if it's that it's like, you know, you play a tournament and then right at the end of this tournament, we come home and we're used to kind of getting a little bit of a break. So I think people maybe like take their foot off the gas a bit mentally and you allow yourself to kind of relax. And then we get into Dream League and it's like a wake up call, like, holy shit, you know, everyone's trying to win. And we're just like not full focus maybe the way we need to be. Or, you know, we just suck, and that's the truth. And Dota in 2024, you suck a little bit, and then you're last place.
William has always told me, now this was a case even like 2 or 3 years ago, that your team is always a team that like needs to grind a lot in order to be good. And he feels like so like you guys have a high ceiling, but your floor is maybe lower than other teams, just because if you don't grind, you end up getting kind of bad. Would you agree with that?
I think we used to be more like that than we are now. Like, I think the old roster, like the Tommy Max roster, that team, I always felt like we had to go to a tournament, get last place, get motivated like to play better, and then get last place again to get even more motivated to play better. You know, like we needed like to lose 2 tournaments to figure out some stuff. And then like by tournament 3, there was hope.
Tak to sa presne bude cítiť, že to je Lukáš na show mečo, ktorý tu budeme akoby postupne robiť. Ten 0. dostal totálny kartáč. Teraz si myslí, že to príde, ale pritom dostane kartáč znova. A potom už to prebudí.
And there was like a chance that we could perform. But I think this roster has been kind of stable since the start. Like, I think this is like kind of okay, that's not true actually. Well, since TI in Singapore, I think we've been pretty stable, and I think we've been extremely lazy. But I think I don't know. We're like, it's catching up to us.
On tam proste prišiel Níša do tej X kvadry a priniesol tam takú polskú pohodičku. Kurva bobr! Jaký fajný! A už sa im proste nechce akoby hrať Dota, no, ako ja to chápem.
For sure it's catching up to us. Like, I feel it for myself, like just going back to playing pubs, like I'm playing so bad. Like, I'm griefing half my games, you know? And definitely been too lazy.
Has anyone gotten Aiden in their pubs recently?
No, I didn't.
I haven't. He always checks my. He always writes "see you at 6 minutes" or some crap, and then we win the game really fast. That always happens when I play with Aiden.
Yeah, me and Quinn's games are good because I just go to the rune. I pretend I'm Celery. I pick like Undying or Enchantress, and I just run to the rune. And no matter what, you know, I just go there. I click some spells on the other mid laner. I know Quinn's happy, and then the game's pretty much easy from there on.
Stačí prísť Quinovi na ten gang, na tú 6-kovú runu. Stačí, že tam ten support je a Quinn prostě jakoby alebo celkovo nejaký midlaner, on prostě cítí, že ten support sa chce o neho trošku postarať, že myslí na neho a to stačí.
No.
So this is like a constant back and forth between Aiden and Quinn, how he always talks about like the Gaming Gladiators playstyle. Now that you're a 5 position, how do you treat your mids? Do you feel like Gaming Gladiators have the right idea, which is both supports rotate for 6 and 8 minute runes, anything for Quinn?
I mean, I did watch a lot of their replays, obviously, and because they're probably the best team at doing that. And as a new 5, I realized when playing against these 3, I mean, obviously all of them, but these 3, that I was griefing my mid somehow. I didn't really know how at the beginning, because, you know, I come from being a core. Like, it's not easy. Like, I honestly, I always respected 5 players, you know.
No, vidíte to, ale to je pravda, to je ten prechod z toho kóru na ten support. Celkovo mi príde, že proste zahrať mega dobré useful support na tom high competitive leveli je proste akoby kľudne oveľa ťažšie, aby si bol useful za proste tú vole position 5 CM-ku zasranú proste tam. Je podľa mňa oveľa akoby ťažšie tam nájsť ten impact, no, ako za nejaký ten core, kde to je akoby celku straightforward, kde proste sa potrebuješ dostať nejakým itemom, nejakým power spikeom, jo, a proste niečo tam ako porobiť, hľadať a tak ďalej. Toto supportovi to je podľa mňa ako dosť ťažšie, no.
But not until like I started really respecting them when I started playing these first like 10 minutes, and I realized what happens in the first 10 minutes for 5 is like the equivalent of playing a 60-minute game when you're a core. It's like there's so
Jo. To je presne ono. Tam proste pre toho supporta je tých prvých 10 minút celá tá hra. Proste pomaly celá tá hra je na tom supportovi rozhodnutá za tých prvých 10 minút, či máš nejaký akoby impact pri tom, jo, vždycky ako prvé wisdom runy, rotationy a věci a potom už sa to nejak ako veze, alebo tiež tam musíš niečo vymýšľať, ale ty kráso, proste to je to tých prvých, ten laning phase, o ten sa akoby staráš, aby bol čo ako proste najlepší, že ono.
Much decision.
A to není akoby vec, to je presne tá vec, ktorá akoby není vidieť. Akoby nejak na tých číslach a není to vidieť na tom, je to proste vidieť na tom, že tie kóry majú viac a že to majú akoby pekne setupnuté a tak podobne, že jo. Ale pritom tam ako to není úplne zas tak vidieť, preto tá support pozícia akoby je väčšinou neúplne tak doceňovaná, by som povedal, akoby mala byť.
Making to be done.
Vážte si svojich supportov, chat.
Like the small things and stuff, and they're really good at it. And you have to catch up and understand how they think and what they do, and you know how to counter it, how to deal with it, how to find your way also, because I think it's also a player kind of preference and style. So there is like there are nuances to it, I would say, but yeah, very inspiring stuff for sure. You gotta catch up.
I actually have a really old story of like, so when I first started playing Dota, Kebab introduced me and Mickey to Seb. Like this is ages ago. Yeah, we were super trash. But in that, so I got to know Seb pretty early on after I switched to Dota, and then let's say maybe like 2 or 3 years after that, maybe even further, Seb would like send like supportive messages, like be like, "Hey, I really noticed that you're improving a lot." And one of the things I really remember that stands out to me was you sent me a message which was specifically about this. It was like, the way you rotate to mid, I know it's not easy to like make these moves work and time it right so that you don't grief your safe lane and stuff. So just now that you brought it up, it kind of brought that memory back to me, and it's kind of cool how like these things work in Dota, where like, you know,
and then I was the one
like 3 years ago.
Production.
Sorry.
Then I was the one relearning it. So
Yeah, exactly.
Watching you play and like, how does he do it? Why is it so smooth? Why isn't it smooth when I do it? What's going on? You know, so it's a cycle. It's funny.
Yeah.
Who would you say that you studied the most from your transition to support?
I mean, I looked at gaming a lot, just for I guess the quality of execution. You know, I think they had that going. Looked at Liquid for creativity. I don't know if that rings a bell, but I do feel like. To me, I'm a kind of player that I like to think. I like to be able to think outside the box, kind of outside the system. Also, I don't like scripts as much as, but you know that's kind of where the game has headed. You know, that's just how it is, right? So as much as I don't like scripts, I ended up realizing that it was hurting me and it was like kind of holding me back. So I found a better balance, but still, I think my natural is always to look at. Is there something I could be doing that people haven't thought of, or is it like a nicer way to do it, or whatever? But it is difficult. It's difficult. I think you need to reach a certain level of execution. And honestly, yeah, actually, I did watch these teams a lot because I think these were the teams that, back when I started switching or thinking about the switch, were like the best at it. So it made a lot of sense, and they had the nicest system.
You mentioned like there's more structure now than there used to be. Do you think that's just because like, or structure wasn't the word you used? I forget, what was the word you used?
Like scripts.
Yeah. Do you think that's because people got better, or do you think it's because the game changed? Do you think it's like a combination of multiple things?
I think it's a combination of both. I think you put it well. It's actually these two things, but I do feel like there is something about the game. And to me, the biggest reason, and whenever I get the chance to talk to devs or something, that's usually my feedback. It's like, there are so many camps. So there used to be like, it used to be okay in Dota sometimes to just like transition in from one play to the other, or like you had pauses in the game, and that's just not the case now. You need to be like, you need like your 110% efficiency on all roles at all times. And if you don't do that, whatever you go for, if you sacrifice efficiency a little bit too much, you're actually griefing the game. No matter how clutch you're being, no matter how much you're anticipating, you're reading your opponents, like all of these things don't matter as much as they used to, honestly. I feel like efficiency is kind of the rule of the game. At least that's what the game tells me.
Keď sa nad tým zamyslím, tak je to určite podľa mňa aj tým, akoby, že sa ľudia ako už postupne zlepšili. A tá úroveň je celkovo úplne extrémne vysoká. Ale je tam akoby presne tá pravda toho, že prostě keď tam jako nevyužíváš jakoby tu efektivitu a věci a prostě taky ty cute little malé věci, tak prostě potom v té bigger picture máš toho jako reálně méně a ten impact je menší, jako keď tam někdo někdy robí ty správné věci a urobí tam to jaké scalovací píčoviny a idly, čo jim dostává, ale potom to přijde. Lebo tak jako to.
And yeah, you can sometimes be creative, or like kind of think outside the box, but these things nowadays, I feel like they hurt you more than.
Čo tak budete muset vymyslet jakoby na zobudzání už něco jiné jako hvězdičky, prostě jako klasické věci, protože ty už jakoby nefungují, já už se nezobudzám na ty hvězdičky prostě pospíš. Já už prostě to už, můj mozek už je na to zvyklý.
And they help, and maybe it's because people are that good that they're so efficient that whatever you do doesn't match that efficiency, but I think it's also that the game allows that. It didn't allow it as much before, from what I can remember. Yeah, you didn't have to. It's like, how many neutral camps are there? Like realistically, you know, like how many camps can you stack and farm at the same time? And if you're not doing that, and now like with the stack buffs and stuff, if you're not doing like whatever you're doing, it actually doesn't matter. You're actually griefing the game, which is a little bit sad in my opinion. Yeah, I miss the big plays, you know.
Do you think the new map, the gigantic map, made the game better or worse as a whole? Do you think it was necessary? Do you think it was, frivolous? How do you feel about it?
I think it made.
Taky máte vy, čo ten názor na takto, keď už to máme predsa len čo rok alebo niečo pomaly, tú veľkú mapu. Jak to cítite, čete? Bola to zmena k lepšiemu alebo k horšiemu pre vás? Pre mňa asi k lepšiemu, ja mám rád akoby tie zmeny, keď sa to ako posúva prostě ďalej. Je pravda, že prostě akoby tie mety sú rôzne a jako, ja mám rád, keď sa to prostě mení po obdobiach prostě stále. Vždycky tam hviezdí niečo iné.
Made it better because the game had already reached that state, in my opinion, of like efficiency versus being creative and going for plays. So if anything, I think it extended the options, like gates and all these things. Like I actually liked it a lot, even though usually I'm reluctant to change because I'm a boomer.
Jo, súhlasím so sebou, jakoby tie zmeny jakoby môžu byť niekedy dosť ťažké už pre nás starších jakoby human beings, ale já jakoby ty zmeny osobně mám mega rád. A zrovna gatey, jakoby ty věci už jsou prostě oveľa méně punishing některé, kedy si prostě fakt jako někdy, keď ste čem naportili prostě na tu druhou stranu mapy, já nevím, so supportom pomoct, prostě keď tam přišel nějaký dive, to zrazu jste jako věděli, že to vaše safe lane carry tam do piči bude 2 minuty prostě samotné relaxovat a nedostanete se tam ani za to hovno. Teraz jakoby s těmi gatami je to oveľa méně punishing, kde se dá oveľa jednoduchšie prostě jako rotovat z té mapy. Ty sidelinky prostě jsou oveľa jako akčnější kvůli tomu, tam přichádzají nějaké ty gangy, že jo, kludně z toho supporta a tak podobně. Tam jako záleží, podle mě to jako viac tu hru jako kreativnilo, by som povedal, no, je méně punishing.
And I'm French, so that's like two problems that I have, which it's a lot for me. Like you guys
That's
don't
fair.
understand
That's
like
fair.
what I go through. When there's a patch, it's like it's my despair day.
Trauma.
Everybody's like waiting for it. They get excited.
Nubabu, ne? Že si to ty, tak ti to rovno skopírujem.
I remember with Top Chess, it was the two extremes because like he dies, he craves for patches. It's like Christmas, and for me, it's like, oh my god, here we go again.
To figure everything out.
Yeah, and it was the worst. And yeah, I mean, no, I really liked it. I think it changed when they really increased farm speed on heroes, when they increased the number of camps, when they increased, yeah, maybe the economy and the gold system, how they balanced it out. I think all of that put together made it that, yeah. You know, I remember going back to games and it's like, oh, you know, they did this smoke into the triangle and they contested a stack and then they early took the tower. And then like that was all the game was about, right? Like it was like a big turning point. And I don't think you ever think of that anymore. It's like either everything crumbles or teams are being efficient and everything is good. You know, you're gonna get where you want to get.
No, tam je jakoby ten velký rozdíl je tím, že tam o tolko kempou navíc a hlavně za tou safe linkou a tak podobně, tak prostě už to není úplně, že keď ten enemy tým jako urobí prostě v triangli vole mega stacky a půjde to vyfarmit, tak potom tě jako prejdu prostě s tím jako advantagem, ale teda si jako na té svoje mapě, na té svoje vole obrovské vole straně mapy si tam urobíš těž vole milion vole stacků a těž to jakoby tam pofarmíš a možno mají jakoby o něco viac tam jako z něčeho, ale prostě ta efficiency je teda úplně absolutně jako key, no.
But yeah.
What do you think about another development of the game? I guess part of it is the fact that
ten obchod.
there are
Ale
many
to stíháme
objectives
jako Lidl, nevím, do 9,
constantly,
myslím, či do 10.
right? There's lotuses, bounty runes, and wisdom runes, and tormentor, and Roshan. I feel like there is this, like from my perspective as caster, one thing I see is every single, like when a team is winning, they make this move where they take Roshan and then the first Rosh, and they make the move for the 21-minute wisdom rune, where they take the tier 1 tower, the tier 2 tower, they take the wisdom rune, they take the enemy tormentor, right? They do all of these things because it's like super efficient objective wise. Do you think like the number of these little objectives stifles creativity in that regard, where it's like you have to go do this thing? Yeah.
No, stifles, like, does stifle mean that you gotta do them, like it reduces it, or do you mean it increases it?
Yeah, it reduces greatly.
I think it reduces it greatly, because you have to be ready for these things. And yes, sometimes certain games allow you to look at other things, but for sure, like, it reduces it drastically. And I don't know how much I like it. I think it makes the game easier to play in the sense that it's more straightforward, and it makes it easier to improve, in a sense, like to study and improve and get your system and build. But yeah, I really miss creativity in Dota. I think there's still an element of it, a big part, but not as much as it used to be. And this is when you could sometimes see something happen, or like whether it is builds or hero picks or setting up lanes, you know, like where are the tri-lanes? You know, like I kind of miss that side of Dota where it's like, well, these guys switched lanes. You know, back then, like at the beginning, you had to think so hard about.
Absolutne presne, dokonale som to zastavil, ty vole, na sebou, vy pozrite. Ja si pamätám, že presne moja, akoby tá ešte kompetitívna, akoby minulosť. Keď som to akoby brúzdal nejakými CSK turnaječkami a tak podobne, a ešte akoby na konci Doty 1 a na začiatku akoby Doty 2, a celé tam akoby tie prvé roky, tak proste celkovo akoby tam to rozhodenie tých liniek, a či sa proste idú hrať trojlinky, alebo či sa bude hrať vole dvojlinka tam, alebo či niekto bude vole v lese, alebo niekto proste, alebo či bude hrať keričku akoby radšej na tej offke akoby s agresívnou trojlinkou a dole akoby tam necháš niečo. Tento juggle toho, ako to celé rozhodíš, sa zmenšil, by som povedal, akoby tá flexibilita toho, aj keď tam vidíme teraz občas nejaké tie ako začiatok s trojlinkou a tak podobne proti nejakým Viper linkám a tak je to oveľa menej, ako to bolo kedysi. Nastavoval som letadla, ten preklad automaticky samozrejme, ako ja ho ani nepozerám, akoby tamto, ja to tu mám akože pre niekoho, kto není úplne zdatne anglicky hovoriaci, rozumieš, a mohol by sa tu nachádzať, no.
All the options that they could do. They could be switching lanes, they could be tri-laning, they could be dual laning mid, they could be, like, there was so much, and now it's like, everybody...
Jo, presne, dvojlinky na mide, to bola takisto brutálna option. To boli také krásne hry zrazu, keď sa hrala na mide, povedzme dvojlinka proti dvojlinke, pretože niekto tam išiel hrať dvojlinku na mid a ten enemy tým tam proste musel poslať toho supporta. God, to boli krásne časy. To už je ale proste všetko v tých akoby rokoch, povedzme, ja neviem, prvých 4 rokoch, povedzme, tej Doty, akoby prvé 3 TI, povedzme aj.
It does the same stuff before the rune, after the runes, the same check, the same items. I used to flame players that would go for the same item build every game. You know, I'm like, there's something wrong. It means the guy is just not thinking about the game, right? He's not thinking about what heroes he's facing, what heroes he has on his team. I used to say that every Dota game is completely unique. Therefore, there's zero chance that the exact same item build is going to make sense, right? I changed my mind completely on that. Like, I think 9 times out of 10 there is like the efficient item build, and that's it. And all of that is kind of, you know, I think most of the Dota players that got to that level are incredibly smart about the game, but just smart in general and creative. And we don't get to see that as much as we should, in my opinion.
I think talking on that then, the patch is coming, so I know you're going to be quite sad when that comes, but what is something that could happen in the patch that would make you happy to see? What would be like the number one thing?
I give up on patches. I have zero expectations, basically. I just expect to go through a rough couple days, and I'm ready.
Čo vy očakávate od Peču? Čo to napíšte mi teraz momentálne, budeme mať poriadne aktívny chat tuto, presne, aj keby to skončilo niekde na YouTube, samozrejme, viete, ako môžete tam akoby nielen pozdraviť maminu, ale takisto môžete prispieť do tej poriadnej debaty. Čo by ste vy chceli vidieť od Peču, četa? Čo by ste vy chceli? Čo by malo prísť?
That's just it. I'm sure Quinn and Insane are gonna have like better takes than me on that one.
I actually honestly kind of relate to that. I don't know what but I totally get what he means. Like,
To je podľa mňa, to je celkovo akoby tá pozícia 5. Tam akoby, že tie pozície 5 už proste give upli, absolútne už zdali nejaké expectations od Peču, proste aj tak je to ten najväčší bordel, oni si to aj tak odserú tie pozície 5, ty vole, a aj tak v tom musia nájsť nejaký zmysel v tom bordeli potom. Takže no, ako, čo si budeme? Tie kóry úplne vždycky ty pičanový build, ty vole, ideme robiť túto poriadne Revenant zbrúče Diviny na Marsovi, pome! Ja ten support vždycky úplne, jo, budeme hrať tú CM-ku, ja ti tu zavardím ten kempík, nebo urobím ti ten glimmer, jasne, jo, forsnem ťa, brácho.
I feel like I remember right before the new map was released, I felt like the game was so
Najhoršia podľa mňa vec na support, akoby, čo zažívajú support hráči, je, keď si prečítajú podľa mňa tie obrovské veľké patch notes. Si predstavte, že ste v nejakom tom týme, ako je, čo je, vysvetlo Insan1a alebo niečo podobné. Ste v ich koži. A teraz príde ten patch, kde čo ja viem, poviem príklad, ja neviem, je introducenutý mega proste ten Solar Crest, jak tam bol naposledy akoby pridaný ako defenzívne s tou bariérou. To stávali potom všetci supporti. Defaultne pomaly to muselo byť proste every game. Tak proste takýto podobný prípad tam príde, nejaký support item, ktorý je úplne nesmierne brutálny. Ale ani jednomu supportovi sa to úplne nechce ako, tak nejak ako úplne stavať zas tak moc, ale proste vie, že to bude musieť stavať každú hru. Tie kóry, tie keríčka tam úplne, jo, kamo, tak to mi urobíš, ty vole, som aj z prvej, ty vole, tento item, ja budem absolútne beefy boy, ja budem beefy, tak to bude krása.
all figured out. And it brought me more joy, like, for myself that I know, like, I just need to do this and I'll cook every pub. More so for pubs than pro games. I kind of like the figuring out a patch part for pro games. But in pubs, when you play 5, sometimes, oh my god, it's so miserable when nobody has any clue what they're doing and they're just testing random stuff. And, you know, there's some people that are just playing the same stuff that was imba in the last patch. They just want to get MMR now, you know, like, everyone's playing random shit, and I'm just gonna last pick Naga Siren, you know, like, every game, no cares. And then you're just like, no clue if this was good or not, but yeah, so I mean, I don't know, I'm excited for... I know I talked about this last time we did the podcast, but I just feel like I want to play anything, but I just want to get away from only playing heroes that are good on lane. I feel like right now, like, supports become like so much, just you need to be good at laning. And if your hero's not good at laning, just don't play it. Play something else. Like, I want to play Oracle, and I can't ever. Because like,
always comes back to Oracle.
Why shouldn't I just be?
Všetko sa to vracia naspäť k Oraclovi Insane, aby potreboval, kurva, aby už konečne ten laning nebol tak podstatný, aby si mohol zahrať takýchto svojich kamarádov.
I'm dying, you know, like, I'll just do more.
Stabilizáciu účtov aspoň o 50% smurfov menej, nejaká jungle meta. Nevieme, žiadna jungle meta, ty vole, proste s Iron Talonom rovno od začiatku, ne, to bola jedna etapa a tu máme za sebou. Tá tam musí ostať pod drnom. A okrem toho, akoby tých smurfov predsa akoby sa zbavili teraz za posledný rok najviac ako kedy v histórii.
Like, my character...
Ako, no, samozrejme to vyčistiť ako úplne je ťažké, keď žijeme v spoločnosti, že jo, akoby no.
His game will be better, and then you'll farm faster, and then, you know, I'll just stack some camps, no problem. You know, all good, great. And
I'm
like...
so happy that you're not playing Oracle, but just saying, from somebody that has to play against it, just keep it up. I still have PTSD from your Oracle.
Oh, I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I just want to play like some, you know, I want to play Coddle and give someone mana, you know, and like we build some cool strat around it where like it's like giga abusive. Like I saw some guy play Coddle mid and he would like recall me and chakra me and recall me and chakra me, and I was like, this is broken. If I could do this as 5, like, because the recall now gives you chakra and you just chakra, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so sick. I want to go build a strat around this, and then I just go play lane as position 5 Coddle, and my Faceless Void like abandons the game, you know, after seeing me pick my hero. No, and there's just, I don't even get to try it. I can't even like create something. And I would love...
my five journeyman so far. It's like you should actually check my pubs. I think I played like 7 cuddles. Like you're talking about this. I played 7 cuddles in the last 4 days. Like I'm trying to make it work, and then my carry is always like, yeah, but the other guy has a CM, you know, like, and then I see CM pressing QW on every wave, and I'm like, yeah, but I give you 75 mana. Just hold. Like our time will come, you know. It's hard, man. But I didn't give up. So
yeah. No, I just want it to be more possible, I guess, or less punishing to do other things than like the script, I guess, if you want to call it that, or like the pick, 5 should win lane, carry should win the game, mid laner, some dude you tri lane between minutes 6 and 12. It would be nice to like kind of get other ways of playing to be viable.
I mean, I think in an ideal world, you have laning in a situation where, like, all heroes have merit in laning, and there becomes more game understanding and counter picking and like synergy and things that become relevant, as opposed to like Timbersaw has 69 base damage, so the hero is really good because he gets all the creeps because he has 1 billion damage, and Oracle has no damage, so you can't play him. Like, isn't that like kind of a stupid metric for heroes to be good or not?
Je to tak, no, jako čisto ty staty jakoby určují jakoby dost intenzivně jako to, či ten hrdina jako se tam hrá, alebo nie, alebo či je silný na linky, alebo nie, no.
DK has 18 HP regen, level 1, so you can't hit him. So he's good. Like, I don't know. It's like...
Artur tam? Artur, čo tam kurva robíš, jakoby s tím tričkom?
It's a bit of a
Stol na klife zase
silly
tam.
reason to have to pick heroes. And that's sort of what drives me up the wall, is like when heroes are good for like dumb reasons. Like Chen just prints gold and is like, well, you can't, literally unbeatable in lane. He's like some unbeatable hero. So like you just can't play against it now. Like you can pick Potom and whatever creep eaters you want, doesn't matter. He just auto wins the game. You can't do anything. Like stuff like that is very like Goober Town, or like certain mids that like, I don't know, like Void Spirit, for instance. I mean, I'm biased towards this hero, but like there's like 75 heroes in the game that stomp him like 112-0 in lane. Like you just cannot play the game. And so like I can only last pick it if they pick Puck, because it's the only hero we can lane against. Like, can we have a little more evenness here? I don't know. I think like heroes that are broken in lane are important for the game. That like, turbo counter pick things and stuff. Like there needs to be some variance there so that other things don't become broken. But I do agree that there are too many heroes that are like ostracized from the game because they just can't play the early game.
I mean, I might be completely wrong, but I feel like, at least like in my boomer days, or like there used to be like this idea that if like the hero's really good in lane, they like kind of scale off in some ways. But now with how powerful items are, it's like it just doesn't matter. Like if you have any issues in the game, just buy items. You can play Razor, Huskar, Mars, and you just win your lanes and you get items and you solve any issues that the heroes have. And because of that, it becomes like laning is such a big part of the game where like you will never fall off if you have enough of a gold lead. At least like when I play Chen, I feel like that's like the main thing with Chen. I can just, pick my choice of items that will just make nobody die. And then, XD, come fight me.
And I think it's also related, like, it's also related to the map, because like the map is so important. Like having enough map is so important because of the gold and because of the resources. And it didn't have to be like that. Like you could win games by conceding map, and you didn't like auto win games if you just took too much map, right? And I think the fact that it is like that, it's like you win lanes, you take map, you win game. It's like it just through economy, you're saying items, like that's what it is, right? Because like how do you get to these items is by farming the camps and being allowed to farm these camps and getting the objectives that are on the map, getting the wisdom runes, getting the controlling the runes and all of that. That layer kind of went away, which it really adds up, because I agree with Quinn that it is important to have these lane stomping heroes. Like at the end of the day, it is a feature of the game. And if somebody decides to go for a strat where they're gonna pick Undying and they're gonna pick like whatever Viper, you name them, it's cool for it to be here, I think, and to get punished when you're trying to be greedy or when you're going for something that scales into the game. I think all these things are normal. But right now, it's like realistically, you can't like end the game. They also remove that from it. Like you can't punish people for wanting, like back in the days, you had one guy go, I don't know. I remember games where you had like a carry that would go for Battle Fury, and they had a TA mid, and you'd like you clowns are gonna lose in 15 minutes. Like the game is just gonna end. It's gonna collapse on you, minute 15. You're just not allowed to do that unless you saw like an opening in the draft to exploit. But now there's absolutely zero problem in doing so because you can't push tier 2s that efficiently, like too early in the game, let alone finishing the game with the glyphs and how the buildings are. And there are so many camps to farm. Like, what are you even trying to do? You're trying to win the game. Like, you should just be farming. Like, what are you doing? You know, why are you trying to pressure? Why are you trying to get kills? Why are you trying to push? Just go stack some camps, enjoy your life, collect the bounty runs. You know, that part is really the part that triggers me.
I mean, I had some idea that it's slightly related to like how weak super creeps are compared to heroes nowadays. Because I feel like back in the day, if you like...
True. To je ale mega pravda, no. Ja si celkovo myslím, že by jakoby že teraz je oveľa menej nowadays, a neviem, či máte úplně tady ty pocit, ale mě jako je komentatorové, prostě člověku, čo kurva to sleduje do píči 2 dekády, tak prostě celkovo neboli jakoby nikdy ty hrdinovia prostě tak silný, jako sú teraz. A ten gap mezi tými jakoby boostnutými creepmi, jo, kedysi prostě fakt jakože prostě vám někdo púšol early stranu, tak ste boli jako fakt celku v píči, jako dost intenzívne. Hej, teraz vám někdo jako prostě tu boostnutou waveu tam jako vole depušne prostě nějaký vole support, rozumíš, jako s něčím bez nějakého jako úplně obrovského problému, není to zas tak niečo, že by ťa to jako úplně vymrdalo. Kdežto kedysi prostě to bol fakt jako issue a ty velké creepy by podle mě mohly být celkovo jakoby keď už dáš ty raxy, tak by to podle mě malo být o mnoho signifikantnější ten boost, jo. Ale no, jakoby to je zase můj názor, no. Ale aby to byl jako väčší pressure v tom. Protože takto prostě, keď někdo dá ty raxy, tak ono to tam ono ťa to jako... Prostě ten enemy tým tam akorát sa musí jako stiahnuť, jo, a má tam jako menej mapy, s kterou může pracovat. Ale ta jedna strana jakože není nič nějak jakoby... Čo by to jako ukončilo, že by to byl nějaký jako pressure point, kde by jako boli ste, že oh shit, jako nemáme stranu. No ne, prostě aj tak musia prísť a dopušovat to tam. Potom dajú jakoby druhou stranu a zase jakoby nič nezmení. Protože jako to jsou tam 2 boostnuté wavy, ale who cares, to tam někdo zabije na vole 4 hitů do píči, jde okolo těch creepů. Jo, a potom je takisto tam ten element toho, že jsou tam mega creepy a ani s mega creepmi to prostě do toho tronu ani pomaly nejde pušnuť, protože tam stojí těch 5 hrdinů, že jo, a ty creepy jsou fakt jakože nič, jo, jako, well.
Got a Rax at minute 20. The amount of pressure that this creep wave would put on you was like...
No jasně, tam je právě o to jde jakoby to tam jako vybalancovat Kratosy, no, aby tam zároveň jako bol, aby ten push bol jakoby viable stratégia, ale aby to nebylo samozřejmě tak prestrelené, že sa môže hrať len to, protože keď to nemáš, tak si v píči. Jo, čo teraz viac menej je jakoby efficiency, fakt jako name of the game. Jo, teraz jakoby musíš prostě jako scalovat a hlavně musíš mať jako silnou ten začiatok jakoby na těch linkách, musíš mať většinou jakoby silný laning a tak podobně. Někdy si byla jakoby trošku větší viability v tom, že si mohl jako reálně někdy tam boli týmy v minulosti prostě často prostě prehrávali skoro vždycky laning phase, ale mali tam potom čo ja neviem teamfight draft prostě jo, s nějakými väčšími účkami alebo s něčím podobným a potom jakoby ten midgame bol to, kde jakoby žiarili alebo tak. A jakože ono tam ten element tam je stále v tom, ale je to oveľa menej také jakože je to ono.
You kind of already lost the game in some ways. And I feel like that's, I don't know if it has been tweaked, but I feel like it needs to be probably looked at, because that's probably something where you could make it like so that it's worth it for you to get wiped to get racks. And if that becomes viable, like 5 heroes die but you get racks is good, then like Dota's gonna become like a different game again, where you're gonna see these like early high ground attempts and teams like maybe pushing the objective a bit more.
Yeah.
Jo, protože teraz jakoby není vůbec worth it, si jako je povedal jakoby Insan1a, ale teraz jakoby opačně dopovedané akurát. Tam prostě není absolutně worth it, abyste teraz jako tam v early game, keď máte mega dobrý pressure, abyste prostě sa tam išli 5 jako natlačiť, abyste získali ty raxy prostě v early, vole tam 20. Jo, no to nemáš zas taky jako obrovský impact na to, že byste jako úplně jim, jo to, väčší impact na tu hru má to, že tam jako 5 zkusíte ísť na ten high ground a vykapete tam všetci a ten enemy team zrazu prostě je back in the game. Jo, a aj keby ste tam ty raxy uhlodali a skapali za to 5, tak prostě ten enemy tým z toho získá oveľa viac. Jo, a tento balans je podľa mňa akoby možno ako trošku treba dostať do iných tých, ale záleží, či to vôbec akoby bude niečo v tom peči takéto.
I mean, at least in my mind, it
I
must
feel
be
like
something
super
there.
creeps are whatever, and even
Jo, presne, aj keď sú mega creepy, ja si kedysi kurva pamätám do piči ešte na Dote 1 pomaly, kurva a na začiatkoch Doty 2. Že tam do píči, jako reálně, ti tam išli nabehnout tie mega creepy, tak si se cítil jako v X Hero Siege do píči. Že tam vole každý ten creep je kurva silnější jak ten tvoj panáček, ty kokot prostě a prostě tam nabíjel si prostě z toho úplně v píči a teraz jako prídu mega creepy. Šup, support to tam prostě víc, že hodovo, jo, bez problémov. Nějaká hudvinková urobí žaluďom. Hodovo, prostě mega creepy nazdar. Jo, a kedy si ty piče, to prostě bol brut, jako. Kedy si normálně si pamätám, že si, keď si chcel čajem comebackovať hru proti mega creepom, napríklad si tam, pamätám, ako sa predávali itemy, aby niekto z týmu mal Vladimír, aby si prostě to mohl jako defovať proti tým creepom, aby si to ulifestyloval, protože to akoby nešlo pomaly ani ulifestylovat a potom si sa nestihl akoby zhealnúť naspäť a tie creepy už teď ti tam jako mrdali tu bázu, keď tam boli, jo. To bylo oveľa viac punishing, tie creepy by podľa mňa mali byť ako celkovo, hlavne tie boostnuté creepy mali byť silnejšie a je tu jedna obvious vec, ktorá podľa mňa bude v peči na 100%. A to jako, môžete kľudne si to jako zapísať do notískov alebo niečoho, ten fucking Roshan's banner, jako reálne tá vlajka, tá dostane nejaký, podľa mňa úplný rework, alebo prostě bude fungovat úplně jinak, protože to je jedno z najmenej impactful záležitostí, čo môžeš vôbec dostať. Tam prostě nechceš toho Roshana zabiť, keď tam je s tou vlajkou, ale radšej by si počkal, aby to bolo s cheeseom na druhej strane, jo. Jako tá vlajka, keby čo ja viem, dala 5-násobný boost tým creepom, tak by to bolo možno jako OK, by sa možno jako niečo s tým dalo robiť. Teraz to tam jako reálne v kompetitíve často jako týmy dávali len na to, že to tam môžeš hodit cez celú mapu a máš tam vision. Takže tým chvilku, jo, a to je celé. To je jako možno bol ešte lepší, jako by ten impact väčšinou, jako to nechat na nejaké linky, aby to jako pušovalo, jo. To je prostě úplně nič. Ten power, jakoby ta sila tých hrdinov, do ktorej sa teraz akoby dostanú a ta sila prostě toho outpušovania wave a toho celého je 100krát vyššia ako bola kedysi a tie creepy sú prostě akoby potom neskôr oveľa menej impactful, prostě fakt ako žrádlo, aj keď sú vole boostnuté, aj keď sú mega creepové, who cares, no.
mega creeps are to some degree like so much more defeatable than they used to be. In fact, I was actually, you know, who had a kind of an interesting idea on this take was Pyrian Flax. Ted was talking about it at Dream League, and he was like, he brought up the same thing, except for with Megas. He was like, Mega Creeps is not the end of the game anymore. And he actually wanted to see a change where Mega Creeps, once they got in your base, they would ignore heroes. They would just go for the objective. So it would kind of put you on a timer, right? Where it was like, these creeps will eventually take your...
To je zaujímavý nápad, ty vole. Neviem, či by to akoby úplne, ty vole, skončilo dobré. Ale jako vyriešilo by to ten problém trošku jakoby toho, že prostě ty creepy jakoby tam potom jako nerobí nič velké, protože to vole poťahuješ a tak, že by jako rovno ty creepy išli vždycky po budovách a vždycky po tom tróne a nešli by jakoby vôbec po hrdinoch. Ale je to taký jakože, je to také na kolene, no, jako mi príde ten solution, jakože.
Your objective, right? You are on a timer. The game is going to end unless you just have some insane like creep clearing, right? So it's like they will start taking away your objectives kind of no matter what. Which I don't know if that's the right take, but I thought it was an interesting one, and definitely helps deal with some of what we're talking about here, right? Which is the fact that just like nowadays, like how often do you see a carry make the call where he's just like, give up that lane of barracks. I need 2 more minutes to farm, this item. Right. I feel like you never used to see that.
No, you give up 2 even, and you don't even feel bad. Sometimes we lose 2 racks, and I'm like, well, I couldn't care less. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy. It used to be GG. Like, you lose 2 racks is like, it's impossible.
Presne, úplne absolútne presne kedysi, fakt ti vole early pušli raxy, alebo 2 strany. Si bol tak v píči, že si nemohol ani pohnúť z tej báze, protože tam predtým jako by bol ten element, že tam fakt jako museli byť čo jem 3 panáčci, aby si to tam udefoval vôbec. Teraz tam, vole, pošleš toho jednoho supporta do píči, ty vole, tam, vole, CMka sama prostě udefuje who gives a shit, prostě ty ostatní tam farmia těch 40 kempů po mape, rozumíš?
Possible to come back. You knew the game was gonna, unless they throw it like big time.
You remember that the old mantra from Chinese Dota? That was kind of like a joke where it's like you lose 2 lanes at barracks and now it's easier to defend because there's only 1 lane to defend now. Right? It's like legitimately, unironically, yeah, kind of now.
Against bad players, it's true because they just have this. They have to get the 3rd lane. You know, there's no other way around.
Sure.
And then people get smarter and they're like, yeah, what if we split them up? What if? And then all of a sudden, you know, a new world kind of opens its doors. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
I mean, I don't know if changing mega creeps would do that much for strategy though.
I think changing whatever it's called, super creeps. I think changing that would have impact. Or if you get more gold from like tier 3 towers opposed to tier 1, tier 2, or more gold from racks, or I don't know, make the tier 3 not refresh glyph, just tier 1, tier 2. I don't know, some crap, you know. The double glyph on tier 3 is brutal, man. If they cut.
Jo, ten double glyph jakoby na tom high groundě, on jako dával smysl, prečo tam je, ale robí to element toho, že ty prostě do píči tam nemáš většinou prostě to okno, čo by si mohl jako využít, tak je těmi 2 glyphmi úplně jako rozmrdané, no.
One wave, you're done because they have 2 glyphs, so like you're just not taking the tower. If they cut 1 wave, you're done. Like you have to keep like 2 waves alive because 1 wave is getting full like 100 to 0 by the stupid glyph.
Yeah, that's the biggest deal for sure. Like that's really what's stopping these kind of openings or this way to play the game. For sure, something has to be done about glyph if they want to bring back and it's gonna open a whole new layer. It's always the butterfly effect, right? Because if certain heroes are allowed to end the game against others, then all of a sudden, you know, the pool of hero changes, the laning phase changes, the itemization changes, everything changes. But yeah.
Or just like when one Rex dies, the carry gets to pick an item from the shop. You know? then we're gonna have cores that want to push.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, but think about the hype when he chooses Divine Rapier. Oh, shit. All right. I actually wanted to talk about OG unless you guys wanted to talk about this topic a little bit more.
No, I'm happy.
Okay. So, Seb, how is... I mean, let's start with Tomato, right? You guys just picked up Tomato. With the post-game interviews.
Preklad, vy ste si vybrali rajčata. Tomato.
Heard you seem to have a lot of great things to say about him. You're having a good time with him, I take it?
Yeah, great time, honestly. Great guy, super positive, just nice to be around him. Very well spoken, which I'm not necessarily used to when it comes to carry players. There's something with carry players where I think they just...
On mal skúsenosti s Anom, ty vole, prostě a teraz si jakoby myslí, že každý carry hráč nemá žádné vyjadrovací schopnosti, ty vole, no.
Tend to be less vocal, or less, I don't know, they're in their own kind of egoisto world, you know, like, and whenever they open up, it's to tell you that they got this item at 13 minutes and usually they get it at 14 minutes and you're like, yeah, that's...
Já si osobně myslím, že najlepšie by OG spravili, úplně upřímně. No buď keby tam jako chce mít tými rumors, jako fakt jako vychytat toho 20 Free Savagea, tak by to mohlo být zaujímavé jakoby v tej zostave. Kdyby tam nechali ty máde a to takisto jakoby fungovat může, ale nemyslím si, že to je nějaký jakoby, že by z toho mohl být jako super tým alebo niečo, vole TI winning tým. Ale napríklad ako mi tam úplne do tej ich skvadry by mi sedel napríklad Watson. Jako Watson na carry by tam mohl priniesť presne tie vibes, čo podľa mňa OG vždycky potrebovali to, aby to carryčko potom to dokázalo vyhrať samo.
It's not what I was going for, but whatever, dude, keep that.
Insane je v tej Liquid Facility a toto sú akoby Liquid dresy, ktorí majú akoby s Marvelom, že jo, oni majú proste spoluprácu, že jo, s Marvelom, proste Team Liquid, takže oni majú aj CS-kové dresy, aj tie dotové, tam niektoré mali Spider-Manské a ale Kapitán Amerika a všetko možné.
Telling me about the minutes, but no, I mean, he's great. I don't know. Everything is nice about him, and he's a great player too, so... Yeah, he's an unexpected perfect fit. I say unexpected because it's not like we really scouted or anything like that. It just came up.
Ale reakcia bude samozrejme pravdepodobne na YouTube akoby potom, takže hlavne na ten môj YouTube akoby, keď napíšeš výkričník YouTube, by si tam mal mať kurva odber a dávať tam lajky, normálne zo včera už tam máme reakciu na video od Grubiáša. Daj tam ten odber.
as a suggestion because we really felt like we needed a change, and Ari brought it up, and we didn't really know him. He knew him obviously, and yeah, it worked out great. We were really enjoying playing with him.
So it seems like you're having a lot of fun from the Dream League cams. I felt like every single time they showed you on screen, you were laughing. Which something I imagine, I imagine in the old OG it was No Tail who was probably making you laugh so much, but who on this team is making you laugh all the time?
There's a lot of funny shit happening. There's like just a good vibe playing with these guys. Not every game. Sometimes the games are too tense and it kind of gets to us. And that's something we're trying to work on. I think it's really what holds us back in some of the games in this tournament, where we kind of developed, like, we started caring too much about these games in a sense, and I think it hurt us, because I think we play the best when we're actually just chilling and playing the game and having fun while playing it. There's a lot of goofy stuff being said or happening, I don't know, it's just like some chat wheels and some pings and some stuff, because people under-communicate it. Like, for instance, Whisper he's not so comfortable, like, speaking fast in English, so there's a lot of stuff he does with pings or high fives and stuff, and he's kind of trying to let you know what he wants to do, and sometimes it looks really sketchy, and you just can't stop laughing at it. You're like, what the hell is happening? You feel like you're stuck in a pub, even though you're playing like some important tournament game, and there's like a guy in a pub that's muted or something, and he's trying to talk to you. I don't know, there's like a lot of goofy stuff happening in the game, so we're just having fun with it, honestly, and trying to keep the good vibe also while playing. So that's mostly the reason for it.
Does he do the well played?
Yeah.
I have this thing with Nisha where, like, if I take the bounty rune and I didn't ask him, he won't say anything. He won't do anything. But I know, like, within a frame of me clicking the bounty rune, the well played's gonna come up if he needed it. It's really funny. And, like, he won't say anything, and he won't say anything after the game, and he will never bring anything up. But I know, like, the well played.
Absolutný pán, tam automaticky už tam hodí ten well played. Iba vníma, že Insane, mu zoberie tam nejakú tú bounty rodičku, ty vole, zabezpečí niečo dobrý.
Just because I took the bounty rune. I immediately know.
I think it's really to me, there's something really fun about the usage of like ally chat wheel. I got introduced to that. To me, like the pinnacle of that was Anna, because like he just wouldn't speak, and in the middle of team fights, when I would go back to replays, I would see he would like nice, get back or something in the middle of the team fight. Nobody's paying attention to that stuff. You know what?
Anna, God, nemal v tom teamfighte dosť toho, čo robiť do piči pri tom vyhrávaní tých TI, tak tam potreboval ešte. Ale to si proste povedám po nejakom tom kille, tam vždycky úplne automaticky vyšlo to nice proste, alebo well played.
What are you doing? Just use your goddamn microphone. And he's just like not saying a single word, just cricket sounds, and then you actually got the full comm through chat wheels. And I think also the theory was back then that we realized it adds up also to the feeling of feeling strong, like in the game, because you're like for one to play the game at such a high pace and have the headspace to chat wheel, communicate through that, and that's like another layer of something you have to do in the game, right? Like it's micro, so it probably means that person is just like feeling good and feeling free enough to do so. I think it sends like a positive signal also to teammates.
Did you? How many times did you have the conversation with Anna? Because Anna was notorious for not speaking at all. Like, what did you guys have to have that conversation back in the day multiple times of like, dude, you gotta use your mic.
We tried. We really tried, and it.
Skúsili s Anom všetko. Kámo, môžeš mi povedať, proste aspoň občas aspoň ty vole zašuškaj tam do toho mikrofonu, že chceš, aby sme ti, ty vole, neviem, zachránili prdel v ten moment, alebo rozumieš? Akože, aspoň, ne, kluci, to klikám a...
It just never came. It actually never came, and at some point we just gave up, and I remember we had conversations about asking him what the sounds mean, and that conversation was crazy. It was like, so when you say like, oh, what does that mean, And he's like, I think it's like, I don't like it, but I'm not sure what's gonna happen. Like literally, okay, and we're like almost taking notes, And then you're like, this is like, I'm sure I don't.
Potrebuješ prekladač na Anu, no, to sa proste riešilo aj tam. Normálne proste potrebuješ vedieť každý jeho expression, čo znamená v realite, preložiť si to memorizovať a potom proste v tej hre úplne vedieť, že teraz prišlo a vieš, že OK, ideme back, chlapci, bežte do piči, portite domov, kurva!
Don't like this, so this means fucking TP or like help, you know, and this is like help, but maybe just leave me or something, you know, like whatever. And then we had this whole like soundboard where we would just agree and we just had this natural instinct of like, that doesn't sound good, you know? And then you actually look to TP or you look to help him or something, or sometimes you're just like, he's gone and stuff like that. So it's funny. I mean, every player is different, right? And I think some players are really well spoken, they communicate a lot and it's great, and some don't. And I think it's also fine because probably, you know, that headspace is going somewhere else, and that's okay.
Yeah. On a somewhat similar topic of like vibes and like communication, things like this, I was curious about like the speeches. Like, was that something like, so, you know, there's like the ones in like TrueSight and stuff like this, and there's, you know, there's Seb speeches of fame. Was that something that you did like because you felt like there was a need? Were there ever times where you like felt like people needed to do one, but you didn't feel like you could, or like it didn't come across properly? Did you have speeches you felt like fell flat, or like you didn't get it across right, you didn't find the words? Like, I'm just like, because I've tried to do that on different teams where I can feel there's like something needs to be said, and sometimes trying to find what that thing is that needs to be said, or saying it properly, the right tone, like the right words, is very hard to do consistently, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, definitely in the early days, some felt really flat, you know, and these were not caught on camera. Lucky for me, but I think like the ones that fell flat sometimes were mostly when I was a coach.
To musím ísť do toho obchodu, ty vole, nech to stihnem ešte.
So I think I definitely usually have like
si kúpiť
decent
nejakú
reads
kolu.
on what's happening in the room.
A potom to asi dopozeráme.
One of my strengths compared to weeknesses. So I usually have an idea of like, but it also comes from experience. I think when you play a lot and you went through a lot yourself, you kind of identify situations. You're like, well, I think that's what's going on here. That these are nerves, or there's people being cocky, or too relaxed, or too tense, whatever. Then you get your read, and you're like, okay, like I think that's what they need, but how do I convey that? When I was coaching at first, I would actually think about before what I want to say, how I'm going to say it. And that's like, funny enough, these were the hardest one and the ones that fell flat the most. And then I realized that actually what really worked for me, but I think I would extend that as like working for everyone, is, well, first of all, you got to understand truly the people you're working with and you're around. So there's like a lot of like observation and empathy but that's like it builds up before the moment. Yeah. Like you just got to know who you're with, and what are their language, like how do they function, to try to read them, and also like understand how to talk to them and what they understand and what they don't understand and what they react positively to, like all of that, energy, and I think the most important, if I had an advice to give, and like to me what really worked, is being really convinced about what you mean yourself, like kind of in your heart, believing it. So let's say that the team lost confidence and they're struggling to find it back. Whether I have it or not in the moment doesn't matter, and the words that I'm going to use doesn't matter. It's like I need to find it within me. And once I really got to that emotional state where I feel strong, I feel confident, then I know that whatever words I'm going to use are going to be the right ones. Because in reality, I think the real conversations that we usually have, us humans, is not really the words. I think it's more of like body language and energy and tone, and whether you're looking at people in the eye when you speak to them or you're not. I could be finding the perfect words and kind of looking away every second. I'm not focused on what I'm doing, and these things happen, and then they'll be like, yeah, he half believes it, or I could be actually super cringe with the words that come, and I'm like, gibberish and stuff, because it's not even my native language, but I'm so convinced of it, it's so deep in my heart and it's coming from the guts that I know they're gonna feel that energy, and they're just gonna pick up on it instantly. And to me, it's when I started doing that.
Vy cítite takisto, čo to je podľa mňa pri mojom caste, tú moju energiu. Takisto akoby moje emócie a všetko iné celku sú ako filtrované cez ten ako cast samotný pri tom ako nasadení, no.
Work, kind of like that, implementing that system for myself, then I realized, okay, like whatever I'm conveying, it's really, really working. They're picking up on it. and I can feel like the uprising energy, or sometimes I needed to tone it down, whatever, but it works. And then we just go with the right level as we go into it.
It's not exactly the same, but I think as a caster, I think the one thing that I always, whenever I've done any sort of VOD review with casters or any of my co-casters, in fact, every single one of them, the number one thing we usually have to work on is like energy and emotion, right? It's like what the words you put into the cast very often don't matter. It's more so the words and emotion that are coming.
Exactly, ty Cap to teraz úplně absolutně pekne takisto jako dal, no. Tam jako fakt, že jako tam možno najpodstatnejšia časť na tom caste samotnom je, aby ten človek akoby priniesol s sebou tú energiu, aby ten audience akoby cítil a vy akoby, aby ste cítili, že tá hra je proste živá. Jo, akoby som to akoby mal nazvať inak slovami. Proste aby to proste malo ako kurva to nasadenie a tak podobne a to, čo už akoby presne poviem za slova od slovo do slova, jo, každá tá akoby jedna vec není tá akoby to podstatné, jo, alebo tak.
Across that will resonate with the audience almost
to
no matter
asi
what.
kľudne môžeme, no, akurát som ti to tu aj odmarkoval a tak podobne, ja som akoby síce papal, ale už máme za sebou 37 minút z hodiny, ale teraz potrebujeme akoby odbehnúť ešte do Lidlu, takže rozmýšľam, že si to rozkúskujeme akurát na 2 a dopozerám to akoby hneď ako prídem z toho Lidlu akurát rýchlo. Sleduje to zrzek Gala Asmon, tak jsme 10 sekund videa, 2 minuty komentáře, no jako celku jsem to jako zastavoval, jako čo si budeme, nebeží to úplně, čo ja viem, 38 minut z těch 37, 42, jo, asi tak. Takem Tome, skvělá práca včera s tím Grubiášem. Čete, okamžitě tam dajte vykričník YouTube a okamžitě tam choďte nahodiť nějaký pekný, krásný odber, kdo tam ještě nemá na YouTube. Budem to velmi rád. A ještě musíme urobiť jednu vec. Moment. Dobrý.
Kdo se ptal na tvůj názor?
Vitaj.
S kým si myslíš, že paseš krávy?
Tomfight sa práve pridal subom do cirkusu. Gratulujem k žilnatosti C1 RCEZY Gifted a Tier 1 sub to Tomfight.
Gratulujem k žilnatosti.
You put in, especially in the middle of like hype moments like team fights and stuff, like those can be whatever, right? But people, the audience will react so much more to the emotion that you're putting into it, right? So I think that's kind of similar to what you're saying.
And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you can encounter somebody that you don't speak the same language, for instance, and there's still a lot of communication happening. Through looks, through I don't even know through what, and there might be even layers of it that we're not even aware of it. I don't know, like magnetism or whatever. Like I don't know what's going on, between human beings, but there's probably much more than just the words that we're using. If anything, these words are usually like an attempt of like hiding how we really feel, or what we wish we could say or not say and stuff. So I think it's what happens kind of behind the words that really matters, and that comes from feeling and thoughts. So that's what you have to kind of work on and get right, and then whatever comes out of your mouth is just going to be correct, honestly.
So somebody on Twitter actually asked kind of similar to this question, Ghost X. She asked if she said, people always say we need a Seb speech. We never ask, does anyone give speeches to Seb? Do you remember a speech that somebody gave to you that stood out in your mind?
I mean, Johan used to give me a lot of speeches.
Yeah.
Actually, and I mean, he really built me up to be that person within a team, because I was the opposite.
Johan the fucking MVP. No-tail prostě, tyhle, je tam vždycky ta flower prostě, jo. Až potom to tam rozkvete a všetci ostatní môžu rozkviesť pri ňom. Naše zlatíčko.
And I think that's...
A teraz bude mať u seba v Dánsku ešte tohtoročné TI.
Also what held me back for the longest time. Like my persona as a player has always been like, I'm a perfectionist. Things are never good enough. Dota is like a masterpiece. So I always look at games. It's really rare that I look at a game that I've played or that my team played and I'm like, that was a good game. In my opinion, it's always like either super trash or acceptable, and a good game is like everything just is perfect, and usually the game should end minute 13. The game should be over. You should be raxing them or something. That's like a normal game of Dota, in my opinion. and that holds me back because that comes with a lot of frustration. And then Dota is just endless frustration, you know, because nothing is happening how it should. That's kind of my world of Dota, so it's hard to deal with, right? And it really used to ruin me. It used to become toxicity, frustration, negativity, all these things that I didn't realize. That was a long time ago, right? Like 10 years ago, that I didn't realize were actually just bringing me to lose one game after the other. And he really like enlightened me on the importance of like what actually wins you Dota games, even more than Dota itself. Like what is there? Like that Dota is the tip of the iceberg, and then it's humans playing this game, right? And it's human beings are gonna have to work together and work well together in order to.
Na tomto celé, ale většinou jakoby se to aj láme, no. To jsme se už jakoby párkrát jakoby to bavili aj ty posledné dny s tou grubýho reakciou a takže. Teďko sa to jakoby no stává na tom, že je to o 5 ľuďoch, ktorí musia jakoby spolupracovať, no. A musia chcieť spolupracovať. Musia byť ochotní spolupracovať. No, a tam.
To win the game. So in that sense, he was the one giving me speeches on mentality, on you know, all these things, and I've learned a lot from him. And I've realized, and I learned how to win basically thanks to him. If I had to sum it up, so yeah. But no, it hasn't happened in a while, and I miss it for sure. Not that I don't learn from other people, I do, but in terms of all right, sit down, listen carefully, and you'll like it. You know, so that thing hasn't happened in a while.
Sounds like Misha needs to take some public speaking classes or something for you, so you can sit there in the chair.
Pretty high when it comes to Johan takeaways.
Yeah.
The bar like it's pretty high. Sometimes he does like. You know, like when I'm really lost or confused, like I go to him for sure, just for inspiration, because I just trust his outlook of things. Even when he's away from the game, it's just like he just has. Yeah, I just enjoy his takes generally in life, and it translates into Dota because it's similar.
How often do you guys talk about your team and stuff?
About the team, not as much as I would like to, because OG keeps us busy a lot, and the team keeps me busy on the side, of course. So about the team, maybe once every 2 weeks, or once a week, once every 2 weeks, something like that. Maybe more so once every 2 weeks. But we speak almost daily on other things.
There was a whole bunch of stuff that happened over the last 3 weeks, but I guess the one thing that
Dobrý, četaj tu ďalšiu tému. Ďalšia téma bude o mind controlovi a tom kiku od Tundrákov, čo je ty vole téma, čo si chceme ako vypočuť. Potom je tam ešte Seb versus Kitrak, aj, tak to ma zaujíma takisto, čo akoby za touto dramou je, tam akoby nejaké tie tweety a veci, okej. Dagon Meta, Mjolnir TA, jo, to je nejaká Mikeho, to bola Mikeho specialitka. A Seb becomes a viewer of all chat. Dobre, toto celé, a tom ešte na záver je čo? Bonus content teaser. Oni tam robili nejaký tier, taký tier list niečoho a to bude na nejakej, no neviem.
A few moments later.
2 weeks, something like that. Maybe.
A pozdravujem ju, by the way, bola veľmi kvalitná.
More so once every 2 weeks. But we speak almost daily on other things.
there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened over the last 3 weeks, but I guess the one thing that I kind of wanted to get your guys' take on, especially with Seb here, during Dream League we had the mind control thing, where mind control got kicked right before, or kicked / he put.
Poďme do toho dramátku. Čete, vyťahujte tie notísky, ty vole, ideme vyťahovať špínu.
Put out an ultimatum, and he ended up getting forced out of the team right before their match versus Shopify. So for the audiences watching, if you guys want the details on this, basically mind control, he talked about it on a Gorp stream where he felt like originally it was kind of his team.
Teraz počúvaj, tu máš to vysvetlenie v rýchlosti.
And he was the captain and stuff, and then over time his control over the team has been chipped away by various org decisions. They picked up Pure, and Pure became the captain, and Mind Control said he was fine with that, especially since they were owning and stuff like that. But then the org also wanted to pick up Moon Meander, And he didn't really like that, and they took Moon Meander on as a coach, basically without his input. And the latest one, which is probably just, I imagine, is just, you know, the smallest little grievance, but it was the straw that broke the camel's back, is Zai being picked up as general manager for Tundra. So at that point in time, he said enough is enough, and he put an ultimatum to, I think, the CEO of Tundra, and said basically, you know, enough is enough, my way or I'm out of the team. And they chose to let Mind Control go. So, what were your guys' takes on that?
To ma zaujíma.
I mean, I don't know much. I don't really know like the people on the inside. I only really know Zai, and for me, watching it, like, I don't really know MC that well. I was quite confused because, like, I know how Zai is, and he's not really the type of guy to, like, come in and, like, be like, all right, boys, this is how it's gonna be. Y'all are listening to me, and this is the way we're moving forward. Like, he
To je práve to mi prostě nesedí absolútne na Zaja. To je to.
captained our team for a year. I don't think one time he, like, laid down the law. You know what I mean? He's not, like, that type. So, like, I assume, like, MC obviously doesn't know that about Zai when Zai's being brought in. All he knows is, like, Tundra's side of things. So, for me, that was, like, probably the only thing that I had, like, thoughts on. I was like, probably wouldn't have been the way he thought it would be. And other than that, no real takes. But I understand, like, from an org's perspective, it's like you probably are always gonna go with the other end of the ultimatum. You're gonna stick to your decisions over, like, some player trying to strong arm you. Yeah, I don't know.
Seb, you have a lot of experience with mind control. I thought it was surprising that he would make such a strong stance, I guess, in that regard.
Yeah.
I regarded from the outside mind control to be more of a go with the flow guy. So I was surprised that he stood up for himself in that way, I guess.
I mean, I know that he took a lot of responsibility in Tundra. That was like the impression I was under, and that probably played a role in how he reacted to, because if you're going to take responsibility in the team's development and you want to commit to it, which is what he made, and it's a big move for him, right? Because he was Enigma for so long, and it probably, he probably really thought this through, like, do I want to leave? Do I want to do something else? And then he's like, okay, I'm going to leave and I'm going to be a captain. And it comes with a lot of weight, and maybe sometimes with, like, overreactions. Like, maybe if things were different, he would have been like, but from what I understood, he already kind of had that sequences where he decided to cope with certain things he disagreed with, and he's like, it's fine, I can cope with that, and then it's like, as you said, it's like at some point it's too much. But, it's hard for me to have an opinion on it, because I think obviously from the outside you have an opinion, and that's like the average Twitter/Reddit take, which is like, trash takes. So my take on this is trash, because I don't have the, but I can still give it. It's fun for once. I'm on the right side of things. To me, the one thing I am allergic to, and it's one of the big reasons for why we started OG in the first place, is, to me, it always sounds unreal having org people have any say in whatever happens around the team. To me, it's crazy. It's like that.
S týmto ale absolútne akoby súhlasím, že sa to akoby dosť, že to je proste, mi príde akoby trochu zvrátené, ako to by chcú robiť Tundrácia, čo je akoby aj dôvod, prečo viac menej odišiel aj Skitter so Sneakingom, že jo, a celkovo akoby tá zostava, ktorá akoby vyhrala TI, tak akoby potom nepokračovala, pretože tam chceli stavať akoby okolo Thompsona a tak ďalej, a je to také, že ja mám úplne ten istý akoby názor na to, že proste čo sa kurva týka tej kompetitívnej doty, nikto tam v tej organizácii do píči, aj keď sa môže, vole, venovať do ťa ako chce, tak absolútne netuší ani, vole, 5% toho, čo tí akoby hráči v tom týme reálne, proste čo tú hru akoby hrajú do píči. A čo tam grindia a čo, vole, víš čo tam, vole, roky hrajú absolútne ako A-game. Tam proste neexistuje podľa mňa, aby prišiel, vole, presne do píči, ty, vole, hoci kdo, kurva, nejaký, vole, CEO, pre mňa, za mňa, kdokoľvek, kurva, fakes, aby prišiel a povedal, hej, mali by ste proste, ja neviem, hrať, vole, fast push do píči. A prečo pikujete akoby toto? Proste to do píči, to ako keby hoci kdo, vole, keby, vole, bezdomovec na hlava sa tuto do píči v Brne, vole, dával na to opinion, ako who cares? To mi príde, že prostě je úplně jakoby zvrátená ta věc, ale je tam jakoby celé to, že zase jakoby ta organizácia prostě jakoby platí těch hráčov, že jo, jakoby a tak ďalej. Ale aj tak do píči, ty vole, sa to celé jakoby točí okolo toho, aby ten gameplay tej Doty bol dobrý. A to prostě ta organizácia absolútne, jakoby ty môžu jakoby urobiť čo najlepšie podmienky pre ten tým, aby tam mohli jakoby vykvést, aby prostě tam mali jakoby prostě všetko, čo potrebujú, aby im nič nechýbalo. A aby si oni jakoby tam prostě urobili ten svoj puzzle, aby prostě si poskladali jakoby tu svoju zostavu tak, aby hrali jakoby to, čo im bude vyhovovať a tak ďalej. Ale kurva, ta organizácia podľa mňa nemôže do píči prísť a povedať, hej, mali by si to kurva hrať inak, hej, chodte si tam vymeniť, vole, tú offlinku do píči, jako čo to, hej, what the fuck, by som povedal, že shut the fuck up.
That somebody outside of the players and like the competent.
Mi je presne jasné, ako písajú Merit, že tam akoby niekto vole v kravate si akoby pozrie vole štatistiku a pozrie si, hej chlapci, odtedy čo ste zobrali akoby tohto chlapca na offlinku, tak máte minus 42% win rate, jako jo, je tu jedna vec jasná, čísla neklamu, vymente ho, tento tu má lepšie staty za posledné 4 mesiace jako on o 232,5%. Je jasné, že to prostě bude fungovat. Je jedno, že to je ty vole prostě tam z Pakistánu týp, to je jedno, jakoby, to je, prostě ho zoberte, jakoby teraz, rozumíte, prostě prostě shut the fuck up.
People when it comes to understanding the game and playing.
Tohle nemůže fungovat ani u Falconov. To nefunguje u Falconov ani nič. To je přesně jakoby ta záležitost, že ty top týmy, tam prostě neexistuje, že by, čo ja viem, Gladiátory, že by Liquidom, že by vole Falconom, že by tam vole stál nějaký shake s ropou do píči a volal Skitterovi, že kurva, dneska budeš hrát Svena. Jasné? Dneska budeš hrát Svena, chlapče, hovorím. Jo, že prostě tam to musí ty hráči robiť sami, protože to kurva dává smysl, to prostě neexistuje, aby tam někdo z té organizace do píči vedel, hovoril tým hráčom, jako čo prostě, what the fucking shit, jako.
The game, being like, yeah, this guy should...
Že preto si jakoby myslím, že od MCho to bol jakoby ten správny jakoby move a nemyslím si, že to je ten dobrý prístup od Tundrákov. Jo, kde oni môžu mať nejaký jako nápad, že jo, chceme postavit ten tým okolo napríklad Thompsona alebo niečoho podobného, jo, že OK. Ale to je skôr jako to by malo byť skôr jako o tom, že jo, jako dobré, máme tu jako niekoho, okolo chceme mať jako stabilne stavať tým, ale ten hráč potom, jakoby si, alebo niekto tam musí si jakoby sám chceť urobiť ten tým a to podobne. Nejde, aby ta organizácia bola, že OK, máme tu jakoby jedného ty vole superstar, vole tatínka, ktorý prostě tam vyhrával ty jaj a teraz jakoby jo, bude to jakoby dobrý PR move a bude to vyzerať ty vole dobre všade, protože to je hype Thompson, tak okolo něho jakoby urobíme tým a poskládáme to tam nějakými teammatami. Jo, prostě to jakoby, to prostě nejde, jo, jakoby ty hráči si jakoby tam musí sadnout, to se musí jako dostat jako k sebe prostě a tak, tam musí jakoby ta organizace ale jako zabezpečovat prostě to, aby tam také ty prostě už jako zmeny zostav a prechody tých hráčov a také ty jako zmluvy a podmienky a věci, aby toto jakoby fungovalo všecko, aby ty hráči prostě mali jakoby hlavně to dobré podmienky na to hraní a to celé. A jinak jako do píči, jako čo tam mají čekat do hry.
This guy should be the coach, or this guy should... To me it's like, what the hell do you think you're talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Presne tak, Seb.
Like, what allows you to... You know, like, giving an opinion can be fine, but what allows you to make a decision? And of course, some people could be, well, this is my org, and this is my money, or whatever. And I went through that, right, in the early stages of esport. And I'm not saying that's what played out here, but to me it always sounds dangerous. Like, the frontier between the two things is very tricky. And as a player, I know that I would never be able to accept it. And luckily, I don't have to deal with that. And you know, I also apply that to myself. It's like, obviously, I have opinions on Dota when it comes to OG Dota, and these opinions are valid because I know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to, even though I could enforce any decision in OG for other games, I never do so. And I stay away from it, and I'm very humble when it comes to any.
To je presne to, že by tam OG jakoby nabrali prostě čo ten CS tým, alebo čo tam jakoby majú ešte iné všetko možné. A se by tam prostě nabehol a povedal by im, kámo, a ty nevieš trafiť tú zasranú hlavu, tak tam behaj do piči viac doprava, vole, čo tam robíte, kurva? Vymente tam toho do piči, vole, snajprave ten vie trafiť, vole, absolútnu píču.
of it, because like sure, it doesn't matter what I did in Dota. I know nothing about CS. I know nothing about you name it, and in that sense, I don't think I should have a say, if anything. Even though, you know, I have a lot more to lose than other people when it comes to these things, but it still doesn't matter, right? So to me, yeah, that's the part that always questions me, is like how much is being forced upon the players, because I don't think it should ever be the case, legitimately. And I'm on the org side of things now too, so I know exactly what's going on behind the scenes, and I still didn't change my mind when it comes to that.
Was it ever made public how like the other 4 players, what their takes were on the situation, or if they had like?
I never saw anything.
Me neither.
So
That would be the interesting thing to me, is to know like if they felt like that was the case, because realistically it's just MC versus, you know, the board. Like you know, like nobody really knows much else. So we can sort of speculate about like maybe this wasn't the case, or maybe like it wasn't as bad as you say, or maybe it was really bad and MC was right in throwing it. Like you kind of just don't know unless you get other players' perspectives. The rest of the team, or even the org is like less, like the org can say something, but it's the org. Like it's going to be, you know, it's going to be very corporate. Whereas if like a player goes on stream and talks about it, it's very different. You get a much more like inside look at it, like MC did, right? So if you have both sides, it's a little more interesting. But this is such like a weird, nuanced situation that like, I mean, to me, the only thing that was a bit weird, or the only thing that like caught me off guard, was that MC tweeted like he got kicked. And then everyone was like, whoa, that's crazy, kick to straight.
Reálne som si myslel presne vtedy, keď vyšiel ten tweet a vtedy sme akoby komentovali a čakali sme na tú sériu, kde mali hrať Tundráci a tá bola delaynutá vtedy nejakú hodinu navíc a nič akoby tam nebolo žiadne info, proste len sa akoby nehralo a tak, a potom nakoniec tam prišiel proste prišiel ten tweet a potom sa ešte asi pol hodinu nehralo a potom už tam mali akoby nejakého stand-ina, ale ja som si reálne myslel, že to bolo akoby for fun tweet, nejaký haha, alebo niečo také. Realisticky som si to myslel.
And it's like, okay, well,
a mnohí podľa mňa si to mysleli tiež, ne?
Actually, I said, do all this or kick me, and then they kick me. Like, it was like, okay, that's a little different. Maybe don't misconstrue it like that.
True. And I think that the timing was honestly really bad for everybody involved. I think that like the timing of it was really what blew it up, right? Because it's like,
keby to bolo mimo turnaj, proste, vole, po turnaji alebo niečo také a potom proste dostane MC kick, nejak ako, jo, whatever. Akože, ale tuto proste to bolo fakt ako pred tou sériou, proste do píči, to sa hrali ešte séria predtým, alebo 2 série predtým, a on zrazu BAM!
To have that happen, so you can only assume that something really bad must have happened for someone to pull the trigger right before a series. Because I was also thinking about the other players. Like, they were literally waiting for the standard. They didn't even know who they were going to play with, right? Because the game was delayed. And then they changed the player throughout the day.
Jo, to mňa by extrémne zaujímalo, ale k čomu sa možno asi nedostaneme úplne len tak, možno časom, teoreticky v nejakom interviu, kde by som chcel vidieť ako normálne perspektívu tých ostatných 4 hráčov v Tundrákoch, že jo? Vtedy. Čo akoby o tom by povedal Pure, čo by o tom povedal, že Topson a Nanclass a tak, to by ma celku ako zaujímalo. Víš to, že oni tam ako by boli v akej situácii, nejako čakali, predstavte si, že ako proste ako to kino do piči za mladá, keď ste zavrení v tej svojej izbe a počujete vedľa proste rodičov sa hádať vedľa, proste kričať vedľa v miestnosti a nechcete tam ani nemôžete akoby ísť nejak, tak to sa podľa mňa cítili tí teammatey. Keď tam MC sa akurát hádal s nejakým, vole, kravaťákom, vole, CEO Tundry do piči, že tam nechce Moonmiendra a ďalších. A oni tam čakali, že chcú klikať do piči creepy a niečo a
This really must have happened on a heated kind of sequence or decision, literally 20 minutes before the game starts.
There was some beef for sure. They were definitely beefing. There was definitely a dark day. They watched some replay, and there was a kerfuffle, no doubt.
Someone lost 10 pubs, you know, leading up.
Yeah, and it was just the last straw. I'm going straight to the top.
To presne by som predpokladal, že tam mali jednak lose streak alebo niečo, ešte pozerali replaye, ktoré prehrali. Ešte všetko bolo v hovnách a ešte im tam proste Moonmiender niečo išiel povedať a MC už povedal a dosť, pičo! Už mi tu nebudeš kecať nič, aj na to jebem, ty vole, proste tu.
And
No. Yeah. No, but honestly, I feel like the best take. I know we said this. Maybe this is too spicy to bring up, but when we talked about the subtweet about Kit track, I guess it was. We assumed it was. But you never really know what goes on inside of a team, and I think as outsiders, it's pretty good to remember.
Toto má takisto jakoby celku jako zaujíma ten Seb versus Kitrak beef, protože to bylo jako celku jako zaujímavé, no.
That like, we can make speculation.
Ten stand-in tam přijde, jmenuje se Daniel Pačes, ale později, až se lépe poznáme, budou mi někteří z vás říkat Danku.
And we can guess, but ultimately you never truly know what happens and why people do the things they do, and you probably never will, because I think like
rozumíš, že oni tam jakoby hrali turnaj, vole Dream League, nejdůležitější chain, vole, který jde k Riadu a k dalším. A si představ, že máš 4 teammateů a reálně jdeš jakoby hrať public, kde dostaneš toho 5. na random, lebo ti ho vybere organizace, alebo tam rýchlo hľadaš od ti organizace a povie, že chlapci, já vím, že byste mali hrať už před 20 minutami, ale právě jsme vám vyhodili offlanera, takže byste si jakoby mohli někoho zohnať, protože hej, už jste mali před půl hodinou hrať, rozumíte? Jo, a každý delay jako máte ještě k tomu jako započítaný na minus vyplatách, chlapci, jo, takže šup. Takže tam...
Like, these things never fully come out. You're always gonna hear some, what do you call it, like, he said this and then he said that, and then it's like kind of twisted by the time you hear it version in the end.
So Seb, we had our takes on that tweet. Do you want to say anything about it? Do you want to add anything to it, or are you just good to let it lie?
Yeah, I can. I mean, at the end of the day, all of this is entertainment to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's like people should be responsible for what they do. So at the end, like it's like I have not like it's like I'm ready to be responsible for everything I do because I try my best, and at the end of the day, whatever I get what I deserve, and I think everybody should live by that. So. That tweet. Yeah, obviously that tweet was for Kitrak. I mean, and I always hear people like, and it was the same with the EG, like the move to EG from Fly and Gustav, like telling Gustav, like people are like, oh, but changing teams is okay. It's like, come on, I've been on 25 different teams. Like, if anyone knows about changing teams, it's me. Like, I can't count the amount of teams I've been in. Like, I've been kicked. I've kicked. I've been. Witnessing kicks and the dark age of esports and Dota. Like back then you would change teams every 3 weeks and you didn't really know.
Takže to presne, ale to nebolo jakoby vtedy tú dobu, keď si pamätám ešte tie Dota 1 časy, jakoby aj tie Dota 2 časy začiatky, tak to jakoby fakt jako fungovalo prostě. Tam byl problém pre nejaký ten tým byť spolu po celú tú sezónu, aby mohli spolu hrať to TI, alebo sa prostě potrebovali zložiť pred tým TI ešte jakoby nie úplne zas tak dlhú dobu, aby spolu ešte vydržali vôbec jakoby v tom týme. A takisto jakoby, keď si zaspomínam na české a slovenské jakoby časy tu našu jakoby scénu, dajme tomu, kde to jakoby vždycky fungovalo, povedzme, ja neviem, vždycky takých nejakých aktívnych vtedy aspoň jako zo 10 jako týmov, takých těch jako decent, alebo niečo by som povedal vtedy. A vždycky jako by boli také ty dominantnější, čo viem, 3-4, ale aj tak realisticky tam bolo prostě tých istých, ja neviem, poviem, 100, 200 ľudí a tí sme sa viac menej nejak ako tak jako kolidovali a kombinovali medzi tými týmami a každý mesiac niekto hral s niekým iným, tam niekto hral mix s týmto a bola to celá taká jako komunita, ktorá sa tak nejak jako kombinovala a hrali sme jako proti sebe prostě no.
You were going to play with the next day, so obviously that's part of it and everybody seeks their own interest, obviously, and want to make the most of their competitive time, and I understand that even better now that I'm on the later stages. And when you're young, you probably don't realize that. But as you grow older and as you compete for a while, you start realizing, this thing it's gonna come to an end at some point. So you want to make the most out of it. All of that, I'm perfectly. Not only do I understand it, I support it. As in, it makes a lot of sense. But to me, like the how is always matters, and it's just a matter of principles, right? It's like how do you behave with people around, and there's a way to do it. That's just. Just like that respects people's, just respecting people, honestly, as simple as that. Is like how you do it, basically, how you the timing of which you for instance, like the classic thing with Dota, like I say Dota because I haven't been in other esports, so I can only speak about what I know. I'm not generalizing, but what I've seen so much is like people wait to be online, for instance, to have that conversation, you know, which they themselves know it's not justified, right? It's just because they're being maybe colored is too strong of a word, but you know that's my limits on my vocabulary. But you know, they're just like anxious or nervous about having the conversation, so they decide to have it late. They decide to not have it, which is even worse. They decide to not have it face to face, which at the end of the day are just bad decisions, right? And I don't think trying to justify these moves is correct. Back to the thing is like the way it was done was very. I don't want to get into details because I like Kitrak. I think he's a nice guy overall. I just think he fucked up, and he must know he fucked up because he's a nice guy. If he was a prick, he probably wouldn't realize, but he's not. So I really did not enjoy. I did not confront him with it because, and I don't want to. I'm actually not a beefy person, even though people think I am.
Aj ten Kvinov face. Počkaj, Seb, počkaj, môžeš povedať všeličo, jo, ale povedať, že zrovna Seb, ktorý do piči každé 2 mesiace musí mať nejaký tweet s nejakým beefom o niekom, aj z tej doby, kde vyhrávali tie TI, hlavne z tej doby, jo. No, aj keď to nechce o sebe povedať, že je akoby beefy person, alebo že proste ty vole to nejak ako vyhľadávam, tak? Ja by som ako bol na tej opačnej strane, neviem ako vy, čete. Keby ste sa akoby zapojili do toho, by to bolo krásne, neviem, či by funguje teraz momentálne chat. Napíšte mi tam jeden smiley face, kto sa tu všetko akoby díva momentálne, tuto akoby so mnou. Čete, ja vás idem nájsť, kde ste? Čete, kde ste? Chat! Kurva, kde ste, chat? Našiel som zatiaľ iba 4, ty vole, kde ste všetci ďalší? Ja vás tam ešte ďalších 123 ľudí nenapísalo smiley face. Ja vás tu nájdem. Kde ste? Kde?
I'm just having fun on socials. I'm not the kind of guy to chase and stuff. I was like, let him be. It doesn't matter, honestly. You know, like, may he has a nice. I don't want to have to deal with these people anymore in the future. Of course, you know, I don't want to get caught, like, burn myself twice. And that's it, really. You know, I wish him the best. The how was very poor. I think he's probably not proud of what he did. It's okay. I've met people like that in the past. People fuck up. I know I'm gonna meet more of them in the future. I'm ready for it. It's not a big deal. But it was not about changing teams. You know, you can change teams. Wish you the best. It's about how you do it. I think people deserve, especially when people gave a lot, in terms of their time, in terms of, you know, they just deserve the very minimum respect. It's like, hey, I'm gonna do that. This is my choice. It's not even about coming for validation or something. It's just, you know, letting people know that they can also, you know, preserve their own path. I don't think you need to stomp on people for your own choices. I don't like that mentality. And I think in general also you cannot create a nice team environment and a safe team environment if you don't lead by example. And I think if you show your teammates or your future teammates that, hey, that's the person that I'm willing to be for my own interest, well, good luck building a strong team, because at some point, a strong team that's going to go for championships and win on a stable basis is going to need trust. They're going to need respect. They're going to need all of that. And these things are even more outside the game than inside the game. They're built outside. So for all these reasons, even for people's own interest and own careers, I think they should be pushed to behave a certain way. Yeah, and that's not me saying don't change teams. If you leave my team, I'm mad. Of course not.
Yeah.
I live in the real world.
Sounds like Seb is mad because Kitrak left his team, guys.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, you just
Presne, ja som absolútne s Aidenom na tomto, to znie úplne presne vymýšľané veci. Iba nasraný, že ho lívol proste a že už nedostane blowjob, ty vole, lepší ako od manželky.
He's
That's
just so
the
salty
TLDR.
right now.
So salty.
No,
Flip it and
Dota
switch it,
gamers
yeah.
and being conflict avoidant in real life is a classic. You know, they'll get in all kinds of
come from
conflict
here.
in real.
I wish I could be like that. Of course, my first thought is like, what if I don't have that conversation? What if I just pretend I wasn't there and somebody will do it for me? I have this too, but then I man up and I'm like, well, this is a really bad conversation and not enjoyable. I still gonna have it because I gotta grow up,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's all it is really.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You on a lighter topic, you had a couple other tweets, or at least one other, during Dream League, which was the imagine losing to position 3 Rubik, Dagon, Rush, and Ruiner on position 1, which was a banger tweet, as was Ari's, who did the you might not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like, with Whisper having the Dagon 5. What was going on in that match? Do you think Dagon 5 offlane Rubik Rush is a good choice? Because you guys tried it later in the tournament, right?
That's just Whisper things. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, this guy bought he doesn't say a word, and then you go to a fight, and this Weaver just gets one shot by a Dagon 3, and you're like, what the hell just happened? What? And then you kick your Rubik, he has mana boots Dagon. That's the kind of stuff, because he's so quiet that he's not gonna be the guy to tell you guys, I have Dagon, come gank to me. Never. So he just quietly.
Whisper, taká tajná, tichá zbraň do píči, tam offlanera, jen si vypýta tam úplně Rubika v tom draftě, vědět, že jo, chlapci, to bude tajná taktika, já to mám fakt jako vykúkované. A potom se pozrieš v tom fajte a prostě Rush, Dagon 5, ani slovo na linke, nič, prostě, že absolutely nothing.
He plays his game, Ari's trying to tag along to whatever he sees or tries to understand.
Ari, tam musím být, já se nečudujem, že hrát tu veveričku every game, protože to píči, tam prostě se přizpůsobí Whisperovi, který nepově ani slovo, tam prostě PA snaží se úplně tam pochopit, víš co, nějaký chat wheel prostě a pingy do toho úplně, ty píče, tak teraz vole, čo jdeme to.
And yeah, and then all of a sudden there's like a Dagon Rubik running around with Sukuchi just Dagoning everybody, and using chat wheel or like high-fiving you after he Dagoned the Weaver, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, we went from playing these gruesome games of like, okay, let's try to do this, let's try to do that, to all of a sudden this is like just some late night party queue where you don't even know what's going on anymore. So yeah, it was really funny. And then the tweet is about it's a thing with Falcons with like Amar and Marine. There's a lot of friendly banter. So you get back at them when you can, because obviously right now they're on top of things. So if you have like a little opportunity to get back at them, you try to use it. You're like, okay, you might stomp us every time, but you lost to Dagon 5 Rubik, so get your shit together.
Prostě jednu věc můžu tým skyterovcom prostě vytknout. Jedenkrát vás porazili do piči s tým, vole, offlaneovým Dagonom, vole, na Rubikovi, ty vole, chlapci, no tak čo je, môžete vyhrať teraz 2 turnaje, dobrý, ty vole, vyhrajte, ale prehrali ste, kurva, proti Dagon 5 Rubikovi.
What? So you guys
Tam nič iné na prostě Falconov nikdo nemá prostě teraz.
did that again later
No,
on.
moc dobre.
And that one did not work. Is this one of those like he chose to do that and you guys were like, wait, is this actually good, or was that him just doing his own thing again?
I think it was him doing his own thing, and us obviously like trying to adapt to it. Definitely, maybe did not understand. I don't think he understood to the extent like what enabled it in the game against Falcons versus it was against Quinn, actually. I think it was against Gaming that he went for the Dagon Rubik, and in that game obviously he doesn't get away with it the same way. It's like a drafting thing, the heroes he's playing against, but I think like freedom sometimes brings a lot of good, and sometimes it holds you back a little bit. So you got to find the right balance, and some games are meant to be won and some are meant to be lost. Not that we lost because of the dig and build, but definitely did not impact the game as much as it did against Falcons. So you live and you learn, but I still value freedom. I think it's interesting, having someone feeling free enough to just be like, you know what, like this is a dig and Rubik game. Oh, just go for it, man. Let's everybody's trying to win at the end of the day. Nobody enjoys losing. Nobody's having fun. I bought Dagon and I'm just getting killed every time I leave Fountain. Nobody's having fun. Especially not him. It's actually really depressing. Clicking Dagon on somebody and not seeing the guy die must be one of the most depressing things, and then dying after it. You must feel like an absolute fool. So, you just gotta trust people for wanting to win and doing what they think is right and try to enable it.
It inspired us though. I know we've had more conversations about Dagon in this team than I think ever, and the viability in which situations you could buy it. Because it actually, like, at least for us, something that came up is the fact that it heals so much.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy also.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's kind of cool when you see something like this. Maybe like it doesn't always work, but it might show you the situations in which it could work, and I think it goes.
Čete, ne, včerajší ty vole publiky se nám vracají naspět, ty vole, zase Dagoon! Už je tu zase Dagoon, ještě je Insane, já teda budu chválit Dagoon!
Back to like the earlier conversation where like, you know, one person does this and it works in this one particular game, and now, you know, suddenly there's like 40 people trying to break it down. Like, why did it work? Like, Dagon is not supposed to work. This is probably like before last time when we wrapped up our conversation, we were like, Leshrak's the worst hero. And then after this podcast, it was the worst. And then after this podcast, like every single game is going to feature a Dagon. Like every mid laner, you're going to see Void Spirit, like Dagon, first item, just running around crushing people. You know, like it's cool when this stuff happens. And I think like you always need someone to be the first guy. And then a lot of people will follow, and a lot of people will try to copy, and they will try to make it better.
Ale ty si prišiel na stream asi ráno, vole, o 6. Potom, čo som streamoval už asi, vole, koľko? 12 hodín alebo dlhšie, ne? Tak jako by... Počkej, volá mi Gabča. Tak jo, chat, dopozderáme ještě toto celé, tu máme iba záver a potom pôjdem zavolat Gábuške. Mě zajímá, jakoby, jako sa má tam pěkně v Prahe.
I think that's like, you know, what's so nice
Bojím
about
sa o
when
ňu.
these odd things do happen.
And the balls to be that guy.
Takže ty zase neovec, ty zase pôjdeš spať teraz. A zase zmeškáš celý ten gameplay. A potom mi prídeš hovoriť, že zase spím. Oh, fuck!
To be the first to do it in an official match like that is it's pretty crazy. So props to him for doing that and pulling it off.
It's
Yeah,
like he Spirit Breaker.
Oh yeah, that was crazy too, actually. Yeah, but these things, honestly, like they rarely look bad. I think when somebody like, yes, sometimes, but when somebody really is feeling it and he's enabled, most of the time you look at these things and you're like, well, this is really nice, you know. Like I wanna break it down. I wanna understand it. You know,
I think at Bet Boom we got like 40 questions about Mjolnir TA.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, like I feel like 1 billion people ask me like, what's this Mjolnir TA? And I'm like, if we win, I'll tell you. Which luckily we didn't, so I didn't have to say anything.
You won games with it, didn't you?
We won like every game with it. It ended up being like a perma ban. Even in Dream League, it was like banned against us every game.
That was first phase ban. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. This stuff's cool.
We're going to wrap up the podcast here. Thanks so much for watching all chat. Hopefully we'll be back next week. Crazy, a lot of tournaments going on, but hopefully we'll be able to run another episode soon. We'll be able to talk about the patch, hopefully. So, Seb, thanks for coming on. Anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, I mean, thanks for having me. It was fun. Fun talking to you guys. I don't have enough time these days to like sit down with people and chat like between my own life and Dota. I'm struggling. I miss these days where you could just like where I could just share more with people from other teams. So this was nice. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'll be tuning in on the next ones. I didn't catch much of it, but I'll be tuning in. You got yourself a new viewer now.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Now you gotta go back.
We recruited one, guys. We're this is how we do it.
You gotta go back and
OK, čete, urobíme si z tohoto akoby takisto pravidelnú záležitosť, budeme pozerať vždycky akoby každý all chat s nejakým hosťom, vždycky sa tu pekne stretneme a budeme tu akoby vstrebávať informácie.
I can only speak for myself.
We have like 7 viewers now. Let's go, guys.
All right, nice.
You gotta go back and watch the one where we talk.
Insan1a akurát trafil viac menej počet tých smiley faceov, ktoré ste tam dali. To znamená, že Insan1a pozerá tento stream? A ešte k tomu je Sibila a predpovedá to akoby v minulosti, keď už to ako nahrávali a potom to tam nahrali a teraz vedel, že budem robiť reakciu?
talk about the Seb tweet now.
Aiden.
I will.
All right. Well, we'd love to have
Já sa nečudujem, že hrá toho Oracla najradšej. On je Oracle in real fucking life.
you on again. So thanks, Seb, and hopefully we'll have you on some other time. Bye, guys.
To je nějaký bonus content.
Second tweet, players are getting blamed constantly. Half the casts are about private jokes and just people telling their little stories. Hashtag not enjoyable.
I don't know why,
Oh.
but hashtag not enjoyable is so funny.
That hashtag really sells it, man.
No to je zase, oni tam majú akoby urobenú nejakú zase ty vole platenú verziu, jo.
Oh my god, the hashtag is so bad.
Hashtag not enjoyable is really
Oh boy, oh boy.